everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Talk About It Tuesday. I'm your host, Alexis Love.
And this is your co-host, Robert Reed. And we're definitely excited to have you guys with us for another Talk About It Tuesday with Flint ReCAST. Remember, ReCAST is about resiliency in communities after stress and trauma. And what we do is we aim to assist high-risk youth and families by supporting the recovery and rebuilding of Flint's vibrant community. In short, we look to cultivate change, work with partners to collaborate, and reshape the narrative surrounding Flint. We do that with improved behavioral health, empowered community residents, reduction of trauma, and sustained community change. And I can tell you our guest today is somebody who is definitely about that work.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to have Mr. Percy Glover with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I appreciate all the compliments. Thank you.
Hey, checks in the mail, but no, we definitely, I just see you moving about, man. It seems like you're everywhere. And I know that you definitely have a heartbeat for the people that you serve in the city of Flint and anywhere that you can serve, really. You have a powerful story. So thank you for joining us from the Fair Voting Alliance and the Genesee County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
All right. Introduce yourself to the people. For those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet Mr. Glover in person, let me introduce and present Mr. Glover. You have a powerful story.
Well, thank you. I am 100% just a cool guy from Flint, born and raised here, formerly incarcerated person who spent 11 years, 6 months, 4 days in prison. I've been released going on my 21st year, going into my 22nd year. Definitely a blessing. That transition back then was not a very easy one. Mm-hmm. Culturally, systemically, from a governmental policy across every level of access, there was no access. Nothing existed. Primarily, it created a huge culture of people returning to jail, returning to prison, and back and forth because you couldn't find employment, you couldn't find housing, whatever things you were involved in whatever ways you created income for yourself were the things you returned to after jail and prison because things were just very tumultuous and finding change and direction in change. Me, I struggled. I was literally every day those first couple of years about 2 seconds away from doing everything really bad. Multiple times, I'm just like a button away from calling the drug dealer to say, hey, let me get something on consignment to make some things happen.
Need some work.
I need some work very bad. But I made a promise to myself that I would not put myself in a situation to return back to prison. It was insanely difficult. I maintained that focus, and God blessed me in my determination and in my commitment to myself. Graduated Mott College with honors with a social work technician degree.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Transferred to University of Michigan Flint. Got a bachelor's degree in relational communications. Transferred to Central Michigan University. Got a master's in leadership, MSA, Master's in Scientific Administration around leadership. Those 3 degrees added greatly to the GED I received while I was in jail. Going through the judicial process, moving forward, I've been blessed to have employment in some very unique places as a formerly incarcerated person. I worked multiple departments for my community college. I worked in 3 different Michigan Works agencies. I worked at the State Appellate Defender's Office. I've worked here locally at Flint Parole. I currently work as co-executive director of community engagement here at the Genesee County Sheriff's Office in a very unique capacity. I don't arrest, I don't patrol, I don't do custody. I say very affectionately that my job is to take lemons and create lemonade. What does that mean? Is finding healthy systems to our current systems that are slightly broken or completely broken. A handful of years ago when Ignite started, inmate growth naturally and intentionally, that we now like to use the word individual growth naturally and intentionally, there wasn't such thing as jail reform. People enter prison, but they don't enter prison without first entering a jail. And with that, 70 to maybe 80% of people that go to a jail annually or transition through a jail go back to the community immediately. It seems like easy and seems soft, which to some degree could be. But think about a person who life was great and they went into the jail for something rather simple. A few misdemeanor charges or even some traffic tickets that they didn't even know were pending or didn't understand because they didn't receive from the court system that they had a court date, missed the court date, a warrant was issued.
Yeah.
They were stopped by the police, and I could have paid the tickets, I could have paid the fines, I would have went to court. I just didn't know. I didn't get anything in the mail. So say it's a situation like that, a person enters the jail, they're there 9-10 months. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But think about it. You lose your job.
Yeah.
Your bills aren't being paid. Those 9-10 months in jail, your life is totally different. Yeah. So just having information and educational structures in place for all people in jails at the Genesee County Jail, just so life doesn't become all bad, whether they're released immediately to the community or subsequently off to prison and then return to the community. Because even if they're off to prison, they have a head start in their education and can continue on once they're in a correctional facility.
So, man, there's a lot there. But coming out and getting that support, what are some of the things that are real crucial for those coming back to the community? Like, what's real essential? Like,
it's really case by case. I mean, there are some things that are consistently the same. We need to pay attention to our credit score. Again, I gave the example that if somebody's in the jail 9 to 10 months, their bills aren't being paid. Every day, their credit score is taking a nosedive. Come back to the community after those 9 to 10 months, it's primarily going to be probably employment and then addressing all of what I have from a struggle standpoint and bills not being paid.
Yeah.
Whether I lost my car, whether I lost my house, now that I have all these strong blemishes on my credit report, how do I repair them? How do I fix them? So from a credit standpoint, that is something that is consistently something that we all have to pay attention to, whether you're inside community in the jail, prison, as well as outside community. Once you're back actually in the community, employment, and I wouldn't just say employment, but income. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are an employee with a particular company, whether you are creator, founder of a nonprofit, having income that is comfortable based on the individual basis.
Yeah.
And when I say, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to ask about that, like the income and the credit score. Some people be like, I don't care about a credit score. Why should you care about what that credit score is?
It determines everything around interest rates for loans for a car, around a mortgage. I mean, it means everything. Having a 620 credit score and having a 780 credit score and going to a dealership for a car is night and day. Believe me.
So it's basically like your reputation, or it's your rep.
Financial, and I wouldn't use the word reputation, I would say financial stability that creates more financial stability. So again, the better credit score, the lower the interest rates, the better the credit score, lower the mortgage rates. I mean, it's just responsibly healthy for somebody who wants to become a homeowner, we need a vehicle. So whether you're buying a brand new 2024 or maybe you're buying a 2010, financing is a lot less when you have the better credrit score.
Yeah, it's very, very expensive to actually be poor. Yeah. To live in poverty, you actually pay 2, 3, 6 times more.
Insanely expensive.
Yesterday, I found out, the payday loans. They were talking about the amount of interest that they're allowed to pay when you go get one of these payday loans to just make ends meet. It's over 300%. So once you fall in that trap, you're not getting out.
Of course.
Like it's just
300%. Like it's absolutely insane. So, and I say rep because that's the way that the financing institutions look at you. Like you have a reputation either, oh, I can trust this person. If I loan them some money, they're going to pay it back. That's your credit score. And it is important, like you said, moving, past getting some of the things that you want. It even impacts your employment.
Of course.
Right? If you're not an entrepreneur, and you do want to shop your resume or try to get that, they're looking at that credit score too.
Of course.
They're like, do you have a reputation or a track history of just doing what you say you're going to do? And it's real important to just be consistent. So you turning things around and making lemonade out of lemons, is huge. So what do you have going on? I know you got a lot of programs. I was asking you about this a little bit earlier, about some of the things you want people to connect with you on. What are some of the work that you're doing now?
So this is a very historical voting cycle. We are only a couple weeks away from the November general election. My role is primarily always nonpartisan. I never encourage anyone to vote for a particular candidate, but I always firmly and strongly encourage everyone to vote. I give very light examples. One example is we complain about the roads, potholes this, potholes that, but we didn't vote for that millage that would have repaired the potholes.
Okay.
So things that small makes all the difference in the community and our everyday livelihood. On a much bigger scale, when you start looking at from city, local, the county, the state, to federal elections, it's really a step, or a step in reverse. How federally things, offices, roles, seats impact the community, then going down to a state level, then a county and city level, which those city and county seats and proposals and millages are what impact us locally the most. So it's important that we all vote, and I really encourage that. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Midway Square Town Homes, we'll be out there, myself, Genesee County Black Caucus, Ray Stevens, other volunteers will be out in the community, that particular community, doing some GOTV efforts in a very nonpartisan way, getting people information about who, what is on the ballot, getting them information about breakdowns and resumes about the candidates on the ballot, and giving them very much the educational understanding around what's on the ballot.
So when you say nonpartisan, you don't really care if somebody is Republican or Democrat. You just want them to be involved?
For me and for the efforts around education, I have to be, for lack of a better way of saying this, is educationally correct.
Yeah.
Not politically correct, but educationally correct.
Yeah.
Making sure people have all the right information, education, and tools and understanding, which this is also a very comprehensive ballot.
Yeah.
If someone is voting, and I encourage everyone to vote absentee ballot, you could spend at least a few days with work, school, kids, and everything that's going on. You can take a few days completing the ballot.
Yep.
So absentee ballot gives us the ability to do that, to be able to look, research, put it down, come back tomorrow, look, do more research, put
Google.
down. Definitely.
I don't know who that is.
But there's also tools out there from the League of Women Voters who publish a statewide voting guide. There's a lot of information that you can get from your local clerks as well as the county clerk around everything around the ballot. But it's a pretty tough one, this election.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it is, again, education based, because at the end of the day, people don't have the education, they can't make a choice for themselves. And we want to encourage people to make a very knowledgeable and understandable approach for themselves as individual voters.
Yeah.
And then you spoke about the absentee ballots. Is it too late to request them here in Michigan?
Nope. I just left the City of Flint clerk's office, and we are still seeing people over there requesting ballots.
Do you know a deadline by any chance, just to make the people aware?
I am not sure, but again, because it is a very, very lengthy ballot, and there are some very interesting numbers. So for those nonpartisan seats, when they were up for election, the last, I believe that was 2 years ago, that Michigan Court of Appeals and Michigan Supreme Court justices were up for election. That particular election, there was a 1 million voter drop. So people voted for on the front side of the ballot, and then when they got to the back side, people were just not even completing those sections.
Oh, wow.
So absentee ballots make it much more comfortable from a time standpoint, where there's nothing wrong with going to the polls. And if that's comfortable for you, great. But not to feel rushed, not to feel pressured, and more so having a question about a name that I'm not familiar with or legislation I'm not familiar with is just a lot more comfortable being able to take the ballot home, request the ballot online, going to your clerk's office, requesting the ballot, it being mailed to you, or you dropping it off, or you putting it back in the mail. It just gives you a lot more comfortability in the time frame.
Yeah.
I heard something about early voting. Like, that's something that is a new option, this time around, where, November 4th, that's when we're voting, right?
November 5th.
Go early, though. November 5th is, the voting day. But like I believe on the 26th.
Yep, this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday. And
Yep.
you got an event scheduled this Saturday as well.
Yep, Wayne the Barber at his barber shop. We have a Party to the Polls, GOTV, a nonpartisan event where we're providing education and information for community members who are still lacking that understanding around the general election and all of everything associated with the ballot. It's a free event. There'll be food, music. Our lead election official, Jocelyn Bisson, Secretary of State, she'll be present to give information. There'll be other speakers from agencies or like myself, Fair Voting Alliance, VAC, We Vote, We Win. A few different orgs will be there, and representation will be there.
So I know that early voting definitely takes the excuses away because, you can go now. Start Saturday all the way up to the 5th of November. You could get it in at the polling places, right? You can find the answers you need. You can get as educated as you need to, and you can talk with Percy and several others to get that information. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
The other thing I heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is there's some more people can vote this time around.
When you say more people?
More people are, like I said, there's a lot of legislation and stuff that was new. I was doing some reading. It kind of comes all together. But more individuals have an opportunity to be engaged in the voting process. So
when you talk about people and being engaged, so there are pockets of people that traditionally, historically, have been missed in the voting process. Whether we're talking about people in hospitals during elections, whether we're talking about the homeless populations, whether we're talking about younger people in high schools, Job Corps, detention centers, universities. Maybe we're talking about people on probation, parole. We're talking about people in jail who can vote from jail if you have not been sentenced. So the understanding to support those populations that are most times forgotten when it comes to the vote is a lot more enhanced, and a lot more accessibility has been created for those populations. And even if you think about our elderly who are in nursing homes or assisted living homes during the election that may not have access to the ballot or may not have the support to access the ballot, there are a lot more nonpartisan groups supporting all of those populations.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see. Definitely good to see all that. Switch a little bit more too, because I know that I've bumped into you at some of the community meetings. You co-chair a community safety collaboration meeting that's focused on violence prevention.
Of course.
Can you tell us a little bit about that work?
Okay. Some great things have happened this summer. We've had 3 Harmony Fests. We had one at Midway Square Townhomes, which is affectionately called the Regency Apartments. We had one at River Park Apartments, Carpenter Road, which is formerly known and affectionately called the Projects. We've also had one in the Beecher community. And the primary focus with those events is to develop relationships. To have impact and influence over people, you have to have a relationship first.
Right.
It's really impossible to walk up, and not always 100% possible, but it's a lot more comfortable to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Alexis, hey, Mr. Reed, can I add support, provide this, as opposed to there's something that happens in the community where there's something violent happens, and then we're scrambling, trying to identify, understand how to connect with the individuals involved. Where if we already have a relationship with the community, we instantly prevent a lot of this stuff. Because now we have access to be able to walk into the community and provide some de-escalation.
Right.
We can walk into the community and also provide some emotional intelligence strategies and keep the community safer, where we're more about action and not reactionary.
Yeah, that's definitely important. I'm getting a lot of good feedback from, the Harmony Fest, and I know to keep that thing going, what are some of the things that, you would like to see happen more as you plan for the next ones?
So from now to maybe next summer, I would like to see more consistent engagement directly with the community. Community broadly, we have a number of orgs who are committed. We have some very positive interaction meeting-wise, but it doesn't always trickle down to the core of the community.
Okay.
So one of the things we had to examine with the community like Midway Square Townhomes, how can we be more supportive? So our next community violence intervention meeting will be actually in the apartment complex.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can have an opportunity to work hand in hand and communicate and best understand what the community needs, not always guessing or assuming. And I always say that, you know, sometimes we have to blame people who have read too many books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we read so many books that we think we know exactly where the community is. No, the community is transient. The community fluctuates and struggles. The community is always having to adjust and readjust, and having real-time conversation with them in the moment is better than looking at data that's 3, 4, 5 years old, which supports the work, but we need to engage more consistently with the people.
And I really want to compliment you guys, because I always say oftentimes we throw these events and we'll tell the community to come out to us, hey, come meet us here. And we don't think about the various barriers that they may have, whether it's transportation, work schedule, childcare. But actually going out into the community really shows how invested you are, and you're really welcoming them to the table, but it's actually their table as well.
Of course.
So we love to see that.
And it really, 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 again, is about relationships. You can't be a relationship, well, let me say this different. It's struggle to build a relationship at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit face to face over lunch, coffee with a person and have a very caring conversation, is much easier than having a long distance phone call.
Absolutely.
You know, so we have to be more invested in touching the people where they are.
Yeah.
Not just meeting them, but touching them where they are.
Yes.
Yep. I picked this up at the Job Corps. It's like, we don't make widgets. These are people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have basic human needs. And when you're trying to go service somebody, they just like you. You know, you want to be seen. You want to know that your voice matters. You want to know that you have a place and that you're involved. And, you know, I really appreciate the work that you're doing in that space. Absolutely.
The work that we're doing.
The work that
Because
we're doing.
We're all involved in this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that we have, you know, some exciting events coming up. You already mentioned Saturday with the Go TV, Get Out the Vote. But you also have some other things around the holidays that are coming up, like November 22nd.
Yep. November 22nd, we will be returning to Midway Square Townhomes, where we'll have a Men's Mental Health Empowerment Day from 11 to 2, from 2:30 to 4, with the support of Christmas at the Door. Our friends at the Rock Church of Fenton, we will be doing a toy giveaway to the community residents who have children for the holidays. We just want to just smother our community with every piece of gifting, information, resource, understanding. I mean, things that seem small, that people can go to college for free right now.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that you can attend mock college for free. And that's everything from automotive, cosmetology, social work, to plumbing, welding, culinary arts.
We need them skills,
Yes.
plumbing, welding,
Definitely.
HVAC.
Definitely. So
It's a
we're
shortage.
talking about a community college that's top 10 community college in the country,
Yeah.
with over 100 plus programs.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah, and there's also, you know, going to get that education even to over at, you know, Job Corps, you can also get some hands-on work experience and get hired, right? So there's just so many resources connecting you to the opportunities when you want them. So how can people get a hold of you and stay in touch?
Very easy. You can find me on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or just send me an email, percy.glover@outlook.com. I'm very accessible, very visible in the community, literally everywhere.
Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
See y'all at the next Talk About It Tuesday.
Ain't it funny how